North Korea has put into law its right to use preemptive nuclear strikes to protect itself. Leader Kim Jong Un has declared that the reclusive nation's nuclear status is irreversible, and he's making it clear that his regime has no intention of restarting denuclearisation talks.
지구상에 핵무기가 존재하고 제국주의가 남아 있으며 미국과 그 추종 무리들이 반공화국 책동이 끝장나지 않는 한 우리의 핵무력 강화 로정은 끝나지 않을 것입니다.
Denuclearisation talks with North Korea have remained stalled after the 2019 Hanoi summit. That was between Mr. Kim and former US President Donald Trump. It ended without a deal. Experts say that this new law possibly symbolizes Mr. Kim's fear of a so-called decapitation strike to put an end to Pyongyang's nuclear ambitions. The latest wording now indicates that if Mr. Kim is killed, another official would be authorized to call a nuclear strike. The North has increased its frequency of weapons tests since the start of the year, and US intelligence has warned that its seventh nuclear test could be imminent. Well, Nick Harper joins us live now from New York for more on this. Nick, what's the White House's response to what we're seeing with Pyongyang's latest warning?
Well, Dawn, no official word yet out of Washington this morning, but they will be likely very concerned about these words coming out of North Korea. Some very strong language saying that this decision is irreversible. As you mentioned, that idea that they are now allowed to take a preemptive nuclear strike if they feel threatened, and if they feel that Pyongyang is under attack in any way, they automatically launch a nuclear attack. Those will certainly be very worrying words, a very worrying direction for Washington, who has been trying really for several decades to move the peninsula towards denuclearisation. I think it also suggests that North Korea perhaps feels emboldened considering the current global situation. Since the start of the war in Ukraine, we've certainly seen a shifting dynamic. North Korea in many ways has seen itself growing closer to both Russia and China, strengthening its position in some ways. Just recently, US intelligence said that Russia was buying artillery and rockets from North Korea. We also know here in New York at the United Nations in the Security Council, both China and Russia have blocked efforts in the last 6 months, mainly due to tensions over the war in Ukraine, efforts by the United States to strengthen sanctions against North Korea, both China and Russia blocking those efforts, and really signalling to North Korea that it is in a stronger position than it has been perhaps in past years. So a very bold move which will undoubtedly worry diplomats in New York and officials in Washington.
Well, the wording from that law will be seen as very strong indeed, Nick. But how's it going to impact how the Biden administration perhaps engages with the North, if they can, on any form of talks on denuclearization? Will Washington have to change its approach at all?
Well, there's always been that huge question mark over what exactly would be the conditions to create a breakthrough. Those two summits that Donald Trump held in Hanoi and also in Singapore made no change in the direction of the relationship between the US and North Korea. Now, the Biden administration, since it came in over a year and a half ago, has been saying to North Korea, look, we're ready for talks. We're ready to sit down with you. But our precondition is that you need to actively engage in denuclearization. Just earlier this year, the US held its latest review on North Korea policy, and it said that its goal was denuclearization of the peninsula. That is what it wants to happen. However, Pyongyang is making it very clear that it will not engage in talks, effectively saying it won't do that unless the US recognizes North Korea as a nuclear state, and the US is very unlikely to do that. Pyongyang also criticizing those US-South Korea military drills that we so often see. The US could change its position on that, but it seems unlikely, as it has continued those during North Korea's nuclear tests and its missile tests as well. So we have seen efforts by the Biden administration, even offering an olive branch to help with COVID-19 vaccines. All of those have been rebuffed. So, yeah, big question marks now as to what exactly the Biden administration thinks it will be able to do to create a breakthrough, especially when North Korea is saying, look, talks at this stage are very unlikely to happen unless you recognise our determination to be a nuclear state.
Nick, thank you for that. Nick Harper there, reporting live from New York.